The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES, was Nintendo's second home console and is regarded by many to be one of the best of all time. It sold pretty well in its lifespan, and games from the system have been ported to many other different devices. In 2019, Nintendo Switch Online subscribers were allowed to play certain SNES games as part of the service, and as it turns out, I'm one of them. So why not try out some old classics for free? Well, not really free since I'm paying for it. But still, I'll be reviewing a few SNES games that are currently part of Nintendo Switch Online, and so though my experience is as close to the originals as possible, I won't be using extra new features like rewinding and external saving. So on to the games. Now I'm going to start with what was probably my favourite game I played, that being Super Metroid. I've never been the biggest fan of 2D games. I prefer many genres like platformers and stealth games when they're in 3 dimensions. But with Metroidvanias, it's the opposite. See, the Z-axis here can make exploring kind of confusing, especially in a genre where you're encouraged to look in every nook and cranny. So opposed to the neat maps of 2D Metroidvanias, 3D ones end up looking like a load of spaghetti. Not to say that they're bad, but I honestly prefer them when I don't have to worry about spinning a camera around. So as for the game itself, pretty simple story with some cool lore surrounding it, though you can't do all the scanning and whatnot like you can in the Prime games. Music is really good, though boss teams were reused a few times. The Phantoon, Kraid, and Crocomire fights all had the same music. But the gameplay is where the game excels. It's the classic Metroidvania formula done very, very well. Enemies are fun to fight, upgrades come at a steady pace, and the map isn't too simple or confusing. Though it can be pretty annoying finding upgrades since a lot of them are hidden behind random walls that you can only discover by placing bombs in every tile in a room. And then there's the rocket upgrades. Why are there so many of them? It's like the developers wanted to have collectibles but couldn't think of anything other than more rocket capacity. By the end of the game you'll be able to hold about 70 or 80, and sure you should use them on bosses, but even afterwards I have a good 20 or 30 left. As for the controls, they were okay. Wall jumping is a very important part of Super Metroid and it's very hard to learn, and once you do it can sometimes still require you to assault the analog stick a bit before you can pull it off. But the game is really good overall. It has some incredible boss fights and it's not too easy or too hard. Wild Guns is a western arcade style shooter that has the unique trait of featuring cowboys and outlaws, as well as giant killer robots. Though the game isn't often remembered, it does have its fans and even got a remake in 2017. When I began to play, it was surprisingly fun and very unique, combining rail shooters with dodging and jumping. The weapons are all pretty satisfying and there's a lot of enemy variety. The game is divided into levels that each have about 3 stages in them. Once you get past the first set of stages, it becomes kinda like Mega Man, allowing you to pick what levels to do next. Now, despite all this, I didn't get very far in Wild Guns, mainly because of how many times it kept doing the equivalent of punching me in the face. Did you get hit once by an attack? Well, too bad, you've lost a life. Get hit twice more and you'll have to replay the last 2 sections all over again. It really annoys me that the game is this punishing, because I think I really would have enjoyed it, but I'm not willing to replay the same parts over and over again just to eventually get past one level. It's the repetitiveness that frustrates me more than the difficulty. Even the easy mode does nothing but make enemies slightly less aggressive. So yeah, Wild Guns is fun for about 5 minutes, but after that it makes Dark Souls look like Kirby. Donkey Kong Country was one of the Super Nintendo's biggest and most influential titles, impressing many with its pre-rendered graphics and smooth gameplay. You would think an early 3D game like DKC wouldn't look great today, but while the graphics do appear dated, they're not bad. The plastic art style mixed with the dark lighting give a unique appearance that I don't think has been replicated since. Being developed by a British studio also gives the game some charm that isn't found in many other Nintendo games. Instead of the typical rescue the princess nonsense, you get a family of gorilla whose stockpile of bananas has been stolen by a crocodile army. Donkey Kong doesn't really need all the bananas, he's just hoarding them. The Kremlins could be part of a small starving nation who stole the bananas to feed their families, but Donkey Kong goes ahead and murders them all anyway. The gameplay in the Donkey Kong Country games is known for being challenging, which it is. In my opinion, a lot of the difficulty comes from how precise your button presses have to be, especially in the barrel and minecart levels. The pre-rendered graphics also lead to the hitboxes being a bit messy. It can look like you should jump on an enemy, but you actually land right in front of it and get hit. Apart from that though, the game is still really good. The difficulty makes you learn to go through levels really quickly, and it gives you a real sense of power for a while until a rat falls from the sky and puts you back to your save point from 4 levels ago. Diddy and the DK barrels is a very nice feature that works oddly well and is very unique. Since Kong's die in one hit, it can be very stressful and isolating when you only have one alive, so when you find a DK barrel there's a sense of relief, not only because you have an extra hit, but because you also don't feel so alone. Outside of the gameplay, the music is really good, though I prefer Country 2's soundtrack. Characters make the world seem very alive compared to Mario, where you could replace the toads with talking billboards and it wouldn't feel any different. Wait. And that's it. 3 Super Nintendo games reviewed. If I had to rank them, I'd say Wild Guns was the worst, Super Metroid was the best, and Donkey Kong Country's in the middle. I did enjoy each of them at points, even if one eventually became a bit too frustrating and repetitive. I may review more sometime in the future, and could even try Wild Guns again. I had a lot of fun with SNES Online. It's certainly dated in places, but cheating's always an option, just don't tell anyone you did it. But in all seriousness, if you can access these games, do give them a shot. Original cartridges can be a bit pricey though, so you're better off with something like the Virtual Console. Anyway, that's it for me. Goodbye.